Staring at the ceiling at 3 o'clock in the morning while the rest of the house is completely quiet is a deeply frustrating experience. You toss and turn, trying to convince yourself that you don't really have to get up, but that nagging pressure in your lower abdomen refuses to be ignored. For millions of Americans over the age of 60, this nightly disruption is accepted as just another annoying tax you have to pay for getting older. But the truth is, waking up in the middle of the night to use the restroom is not an inevitable part of aging that you just have to live with. It is actually a highly specific biological SOS signal from your body. When your sleep is broken night after night, it ruins your daytime energy, dampens your focus on the golf course, and can even subtly strain your cardiovascular system. If you are tired of watching the clock tick away while you make that cold walk to the bathroom, you need to understand that your body is trying to tell you something very specific about your habits, your circulation, or your internal organs. I am Dr. Carl. I have spent the last 16 years practicing as a urologist, helping thousands of seniors reclaim their sleep, protect their bladder health, and get back to enjoying their retirement without constantly scanning the room for the nearest restroom. In our time together today, we are going to pull back the curtain on the 6 hidden reasons your body is waking you up at 3 in the morning to pee, breaking down exactly what is happening inside your systems and how to fix it. We will cover everything from hidden circulatory traps to routine mistakes you are making right before bed. And I want you to pay extra close attention to number 6 because it is a hidden nighttime issue that most people completely miss. Yet correcting it can completely transform how refreshed you feel when you wake up. Before we dive into the list, I want to ask you a quick question that you can answer right down in the comments section. How many times are you currently waking up each night to use the restroom? And how long has this been going on for you? I read every single comment posted on this channel, and your real world experiences directly shape the medical topics and practical solutions I cover in our upcoming videos. The very first reason you might be waking up at 3 in the morning comes down to the physical structure of the bladder wall itself, specifically a natural loss of elasticity that happens as we get older. To picture what is happening inside your lower abdomen, think about a high-quality leather golf glove that you bought years ago. When it was brand new, the leather was incredibly supple, stretching easily to accommodate your hand and snapping back into its original shape without any stiffness. But after years of exposure to the elements, that leather naturally becomes tighter, less forgiving, and loses its ability to expand. A very similar process happens to the smooth muscle tissue lining your bladder after you pass the age of 60. A study published in the Journal of Urology highlights that as the human body ages, the collagen structure within the bladder wall changes, leading to a measurable decrease in overall bladder capacity and compliance. This means that the physical container simply cannot hold as much fluid as it did when you were in your 30s or 40s. When your kidneys produce even a modest amount of urine during the night, the stiffened bladder wall stretches to its limit much faster, sending an urgent, premature electrical signal to your brain that screams that you are completely full, forcing you awake. An excellent action step you can take this week to counteract this structural change is to practice bladder training during the day. When you feel the first mild urge to go during the afternoon, try to gently wait an extra 10 to 15 minutes before walking to the restroom, which helps maintain the flexibility of those bladder tissues. Of course, you should always mention any sudden, uncomfortable changes in your urinary habits during your next routine annual physical or Medicare visit. The second hidden culprit behind your broken sleep is a phenomenon I like to call the late-day fluid shift. This is an incredibly common issue for active seniors who spend their days enjoying retirement, whether that means sitting out on the patio, driving a few hours down the interstate to visit the grandkids, or playing a round of golf. Throughout the daytime hours, gravity is constantly working against your circulation, pulling fluids downward into your lower legs, ankles, and feet. If your circulation isn't quite as efficient as it used to be, this fluid accumulates in the lower extremities, often causing a bit of subtle swelling that you might notice when you take your socks off at the end of the day. The real trouble starts when you finally climb into bed and lay completely flat for the night. Without gravity pulling that fluid down into your boots, all that trapped water suddenly rushes back into your general bloodstream. Your body looks at this sudden influx of blood volume and realizes it needs to balance things out immediately, so it tasks your kidneys with filtering out the excess fluid as quickly as possible. Research from the American Urological Association suggests that nocturnal fluid shift is actually one of the leading causes of isolated nighttime urination in older adults. To break this cycle, your clear action step this week is to intentionally elevate your legs above the level of your heart for 30 to 45 minutes in the late afternoon or early evening. You can do this easily while reading a book or watching the evening news by propping your feet up on a few comfortable pillows on the sofa, giving your body a head start on processing that fluid before your head ever hits the pillow. Moving on to our third major reason, we have to look closely at age-related anatomical changes, which manifest a bit differently depending on whether you are a man or a woman. For the men watching this, the primary suspect is almost always an enlarged prostate, a condition known as BPH. As you get older, this small gland naturally grows and begins to squeeze the urethra, acting very much like a thumb pressed firmly over the end of a garden hose. For the ladies, the challenge often stems from a gradual relaxation of the pelvic floor muscles that support the bladder. In both cases, the ultimate result is exactly the same: incomplete bladder emptying during the daytime. When you go to the bathroom before bed, you might think you finished, but because of these physical structural hurdles, a few ounces of residual urine remain trapped at the bottom of the bladder. A comprehensive Mayo Clinic review notes that this retained fluid significantly shortens the time it takes for the bladder to fill back up to critical mass during the night, guaranteeing a 3 o'clock wake-up call. To manage this effectively, I highly recommend adopting a technique called double voiding when you prepare for bed tonight. Go to the bathroom normally, stand up or sit up and wash your hands. Wait about 30 to 60 seconds while relaxing your abdominal muscles, and then try to empty your bladder a second time. This simple habit can help clear out that hidden residual fluid, though you should always ensure your doctor performs a proper evaluation of your prostate or pelvic health during your regular checkups. Our fourth reason involves a hidden trap within your seemingly healthy evening routine, specifically the consumption of hidden bladder irritants. Many health-conscious seniors tell me at the pharmacy counter or in my office that they completely stopped drinking caffeine past noon, switching instead to a warm cup of decaffeinated coffee or a soothing herbal tea while watching television after dinner. While you are successfully avoiding the stimulant effects of caffeine, you might be accidentally introducing other compounds that wreak havoc on your bladder lining. Many commercial decaf blends and certain herbal teas contain natural acids and chemical properties that irritate the sensitive inner walls of the bladder. Think of it like pouring lemon juice onto a small scrape on your skin. It causes a localized, hyperreactive response. The bladder muscle begins to spasm, mimicking the sensation of being completely full, even if there are only a few drops of fluid inside. Furthermore, many people take their evening cholesterol, blood pressure, or arthritis medications with a massive 8-ounce glass of water right before turning out the lights. Medical consensus shows that this concentrated burst of late-night fluid, combined with bladder-irritating beverages, is a recipe for sleep disruption. Your action step here is to implement a strict fluid curfew 2 hours before bed, swapping out the late-night teas for a few small sips of plain water only when necessary to swallow your evening pills. If you are finding that these explanations are helping you finally connect the dots regarding your own sleep patterns, let's take a quick 5-second pause. Go ahead and tap that like button right below the video. It takes just a second, but it tells the algorithm that this practical health advice is valuable, helping it reach more seniors across the country who are tired of losing their rest. And don't forget to tell me in the comments if you have noticed your nighttime trips getting worse after certain evening meals. That brings us directly to our fifth reason, which involves the specific timing of your daily medications. Many seniors take a variety of prescriptions to manage their cardiovascular health, and a very large percentage of these regimens include a diuretic, which patients often refer to as a water pill. These medications are absolute lifelines for managing blood pressure and protecting the heart, working efficiently to force your body to rid itself of excess salt and fluid. However, if your daily routine involves taking these pills in the late afternoon or with your evening meal, They will reach their peak effectiveness right around the time you are settling into deep sleep. A study published in a leading internal medicine journal links late-day administration of cardiovascular diuretics directly to highly fragmented sleep patterns and severe nighttime urination. The solution here is not to alter your medication dose on your own, but rather to have a proactive conversation with your physician or pharmacist at your next visit. Ask them explicitly if it is safe and appropriate for you to shift your water pill to the early morning hours, perhaps right after your morning toast and coffee, so that the heaviest fluid clearing happens while you are awake and active during the day. Now let's discuss the sixth reason, which is the critical hidden trigger I warned you about earlier: unrecognized sleep apnea. Most people assume that sleep apnea is strictly a snoring issue or a lung problem, but its impact on the bladder is profound. When an older adult suffers from sleep apnea, their airway briefly collapses during the night, causing them to gasp for air. This sudden obstruction creates a powerful negative pressure vacuum inside the chest cavity. Your heart, sitting right in the middle of that intense pressure change, mistakenly interprets this mechanical stress as a sign that the body is dangerously overloaded with fluid. In a panic response to protect itself, the heart muscle releases a specialized hormone called atrial natriuretic peptide. This hormone delivers a direct, commanding order to your kidneys to immediately dump sodium and water, overriding the body's natural nighttime sleep signals. Research from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has robustly demonstrated that treating underlying sleep apnea often drastically reduces or completely eliminates nighttime bathroom trips. If you wake up with a dry mouth, suffer from daytime fatigue despite being in bed for 8 hours, or if your spouse notices you snoring, your action step this week is to ask your doctor for a simple, comfortable home sleep test covered by insurance to see if this hidden cardiac trigger is the true culprit. To show you how all of these pieces connect in real life, let me tell you about a patient of mine named Robert. Robert is a 68-year-old retired corporate accountant who recently moved down to Sarasota, Florida. He was loving his retirement, spending his mornings on the golf course and his afternoons taking long walks with his wife. But he came into my office looking absolutely exhausted. He confessed that he was waking up 3 or 4 times every single night to use the bathroom, leaving him irritable, drained, and genuinely worried that something was seriously wrong with his prostate. We ran the standard tests and found that while his prostate was slightly enlarged, it wasn't severe enough to cause that much nighttime disruption. As we walked through his daily routine together, the real picture emerged. Robert was taking his blood pressure water pill with his 6 p.m. dinner, spending his afternoons sitting in a golf cart or a lounge chair where fluid pooled in his ankles, and enjoying a large cup of decaf black tea right before bed. I had Robert make 3 simple adjustments. He moved his medication to the morning, elevated his legs for 30 minutes at 4 p.m., and swapped his late-night tea for plain water. When he returned to my office for a follow-up 4 weeks later, he looked like a completely different man. He was sleeping through the night completely uninterrupted until 6 seconds a.m. His daytime energy had skyrocketed, and his golf game was better than it had been in years because he was finally getting deep, restorative rest. Let's wrap everything up by establishing tonight's concrete plan of action. First, implement a strict fluid curfew 2 hours before you intend to sleep, sticking to small sips of water only. Second, spend 30 minutes this afternoon elevating your legs on pillows to clear out daytime fluid buildup. Third, practice the double voiding technique right before you go to bed to ensure your bladder is completely empty. Fourth, check your medication bottles and prepare to ask your doctor if you can safely move any evening diuretics to the morning. Fifth, keep your evening meal fresh and low in sodium to prevent your kidneys from working overtime while you rest. In our very next video, we are going to dive deep into a closely related topic that many seniors find incredibly surprising: the 3 common items sitting right now in your kitchen pantry that are secretly irritating your bladder and making you run to the restroom every single hour during the day. I am Dr. Carl. Stay well, protect your sleep, and I will see you right there in the next video.